Okay, perfect. Thank you. And Deborah, you can give me the high sign when you want me to start. Cool.
Hi, Victoria.
Hey, Deborah.
How are you?
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Vanessa.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Eric.
Uh-oh. Aha.
Two-minute warning.
All right.
Hey, Deborah.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
When I go to the chat room and I try to talk to just someone personally, it doesn't allow me to do that.
It's probably because the setting has been turned off.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Is that on my end?
No, that's on the host end.
Oh, okay. Because I wanted to ask Mario if he was going to be able to attend a meeting.
Depends on when, Debbie. Depends on when. Look
This
at my
is not the-
calendar.
This is not the forum for that, she says. Thank you. Deborah, this picture is really cute. It's whimsical. I love it.
It's the presenters, but it's cool, huh?
It's fantasy and fun.
Hi,
All right, go.
everybody.
Oh, go ahead, Deborah.
No, it's fine. Everybody should, as you're coming into the room, usually your mic is muted. So if you don't have your mic muted, go ahead and put it on mute, or I will mute you. I have the power. And welcome. I'm still letting people into the room. But we're going to go ahead and get started. And today we are so fortunate to have Jenny Williams, who is a resource specialist at Glassbrook Elementary School. Woohoo, Glassbrook!
Yeah.
And she's going to lead us through the presentation today. And if you have questions, I know most of us have been on 1,000,001 Zooms, and everybody kind of has their own norms in the meetings. But if you have questions while Jenny is presenting that you don't want to wait for, you can use the raise hand feature. So if you're not sure where the raised hand feature is, when you're on your name, if you hover your mouse over your name, it gives you an option to mute yourself or unmute yourself, and do some other things like raise your hand. And I'm going to try to monitor that in case we need to take any questions. You can also type questions into the chat. We will be monitoring chat as well. And I know that Jenny's going to take a pause after some of the information to take questions from you, but if you have anything in the meantime, that's pretty much how we're going to handle everything. So I don't know anything about Google Classroom, so I'm going to learn right along with everybody else. And Jenny, take it away. I can't wait.
All right. Hi, everybody. It's so good to see so many people joining us this afternoon. Thank you for coming. I know it's been a long day. It's a long day for all of us. They all seem to meld together. So I'm so glad you're taking time out to learn about Google Classroom. Again, I go by Miss Jenny from the students. My whole name is Jenny Williams if you need to find me in the directory. I'm in Glassbrook Elementary. Quick background of me. I'm in my second year as the RSP teacher at Glassbrook, but I'm a nerd. I'm a big techie nerd. So I love technology. I love teaching people technology more specifically. I think everybody can learn everything that's out there with the right instruction. So I'm hoping I can present Google Classroom in a way that's not too scary and not too intimidating. Like they said, if you have questions, I'm going to stop. There's 3 parts of my presentation, and I'll stop after each part because they're all distinct. To hopefully let you hear a question when you think of it. So let's get started. Let's go back to the music. If you really like the music, it's on YouTube. It's called Chill Hop. The graphic came from them too. I really like their music for my classroom. So I heard a couple people liked it. All right, so let's start with the beginning, the very, 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 very beginning. I don't want to assume anything about what you know. So this first video is just going to show you what Google Classroom looks like on the inside, and kind of give you a tour of where we're going to go today. So check it out. So I hope that was just this kind of an overview of what Google Classroom looks like as you use it, as students use it. So it's very helpful. I'm not going to go over every feature, but I'm going to go over most of the features. So again, the purpose of this workshop is to actually have all the steps you need to open a Google Classroom and get students on it and get using it. So I want you to be able to hit the ground running by the end of this class. Okay, so the first step is you want to actually have a classroom, right? Because otherwise it's of no use to you. So how do we create a classroom? And I'm going to show a live version of this, but I wanted to walk through the steps. I know everybody learns differently. So, and also these slides will be available. Deborah will send them out later today. So you will have this, but I'm going to walk through it, but then I will show you. So for those of you who need to see a demonstration, I got you. All right, so the first step is you go to classroom.google.com. That's the fastest way to get there. It's going to ask you to log in with your HUSD email and password. You'll see a plus button as it shows up here, and you have a choice to join or create. Obviously, in this case, we're going to create. And then in the create class window, you're going to see 4 different lines. You only need to fill out the top one, so don't worry about the other 3, okay? So I'm going to show it to you live. So that's the list of instructions, so you'll have that to take home with you. But let me show you how this actually works. So I've already logged into Google Classroom, classroom.google.com. I've already logged in as JW410. So I'm going to hit the plus button and I'm going to create. And then I'm going to give it a name. For the purpose of this workshop, I'm going to say Google Classroom Workshop. In best practice, putting your name is helpful. So you could say like Miss Jenny's class, or you could put a topic if you're in high school or middle school. So whatever you think is the most useful. What you want to think about is a way for your students to say, once they put it in, did I get the right class? Because as you can see, I have a bunch of classrooms and they may too. So you wait a couple minutes after you hit create, and it's created. That's it. It's done. It's created. So congratulations, you created your first Google Classroom. That's all it is. It's pretty straightforward. Now, of course, the next step is you want to share it, right? What use is a classroom if you don't have a way to share it with anybody? So when you create your classroom, you are given a unique code that will connect to your class. So it's like a website link. But it's just for people that you invite. So your invitation, your party, no one else gets in. So it's located in the header graphic, which is just the name for the top graphic on your page. Now it's really itsy bitsy tiny, as you can see here. That's really hard for me to read. I have glasses, there's reason for that. So I wanna make sure it's super big because you wanna make sure you get it right. You don't wanna invite someone to the wrong one. So a pro tip for today is if you go back and you see this little square that's broken, if you hit that, think of that as your zoom button, zooming in button, and you can see the code clearly. It's 7 characters. It will always be a mix of numbers and letters, and it's unique to your classroom. So this would be the code that I would save. So either write it down, copy it, email it to yourself, whatever you need to do so you remember this. You will need this to invite people in. Okay, going back. So now, of course, now we need to get students involved. I'm going to warn you in advance, depending on the level that you teach, this can be the hardest part. As you know, we all stopped going to school pretty suddenly, so we didn't get a chance to walk parents through Google Classroom. So be patient. You will probably have to be on the phone for a long time, helping people get on it. It's worth it once you do. Trust me, it's worth the effort. But I'll say from personal experience, it took, in a lot of cases, till last week for people to get on board and to understand how to use it. That's okay. You just be patient with it. But here are the instructions on how to sign up so that you will have this script. So when you call parents or call students and walk them through how to do this, you will have the script so that you can just read off of it. Something I wish I had. So they're going to follow basically the same steps you did to create your classroom. They're just going to join instead. So the website again is classroom.google.com. Log in with their HUSD email and password. The email is just their student number with that long HUSD part at the end. And then their password is their number they use in the cafeteria for lunch in most cases. They are also going to hit the plus button in the top, but they won't have the option to create a class. The only option they will have is to join the class. And then they put in the code that you found and wrote down on your hand or on a piece of paper. And then it thinks about it, and it will say, you are in the class, congratulations. And what they will see, they should see it instantly. It should add the classroom right at the top of their page. And that's how you'll know that they're a member of your class.
What
So-
about students who don't have a HUSD
Yeah.
email address? Is the question in the chat.
That's a fantastic question. That is challenging and has been challenging for a lot of people. We've been trying to help. Our school site, thankfully, created a list when we got IXL of every student's email and password. It's a good question about where other school sites would get that information from. Deborah, do you have any thoughts on that? Would it be tech support perhaps, or an administrator that would be best to ask if you don't know?
I mean, I think your first step is always to ask somebody at your school site. So your admin or your office managers may know, but if not, you're probably going to have to reach out to EIT. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, that is the most challenging part. We were fortunate that we had a list of students already.
And maybe look
Can I
into
say
the
something? You can
campus as a
actually find,
suggestion as well.
Oh, someone wanted to chime in. Go ahead.
you can, that was my answer. I've been finding the Google Classroom passwords and everything on Infinite Campus
Okay,
because each kid has a number and with HUSD with it.
that's right. Thank you for pointing
And that's
that
their
out.
lunch number.
Thanks,
Correct.
Victoria.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I forgot about that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, Mario?
There's one from a para-educator who doesn't have a HUSD email yet. Our paras should go to IT as well, shouldn't they, to get
Yeah,
no,
that's EIT
yeah.
for sure. And you might have to, just a heads up, you may have to ask them more than once. They're obviously really, really busy. So just, if you don't hear something from them in a couple of days, don't be afraid to follow up with them. Good
Okay,
question.
thank you. Yeah, I was trying before all of this, so now it's even harder to get one.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started working in HUSD, it took 3 months for me to get mine. So yeah,
I've only been
and that was
doing
without a struggle.
for all of this, so it's not coming in. Thank you.
Be persistent. Don't stop asking them. Eventually they'll get to you. Anybody else? I've got a few more minutes before I need to move on. No?
No, it should be
Okay.
good.
I actually have,
All right, wonderful. Thank you for the questions.
Wait.
Yeah, keep asking. Yeah, did I hear somebody else? No?
yeah, I have
Yeah.
a question.
Sure.
I added some students to my Google Classroom. I'm not sure if I did it correctly because I actually was the one that put them into my classroom.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started responding to me without me having to
Yes.
invite them with a password. Or is that correct or incorrect?
Yeah, absolutely. So you did it the other way. I'm presenting the code way because it's easier.
Okay.
It's easier, but you absolutely, that's another way to do your classroom. You can add the whole roster yourself, and then
Okay.
they would automatically have the room when they log in next time. I was showing the invitation way because that's a little bit easier in terms of number of steps. So I was just showing an easier way to do it, but you did it correctly. They're both correct.
And would you recommend that I have just the one classroom for all of my students? I'm at multiple sites, or should I break it down into different classrooms?
Unfortunately, I would say have one for each of your sites.
Okay.
Would probably be best, unless you are copying classwork and announcements across sites. If you're doing exactly the same thing for every site, go for it. I'm guessing you're not, though.
No, I'm a speech therapist, so I've got two
Yeah.
elementary and one middle. So, okay.
I had the same conversation with my speech therapist, and I told her the same thing. I told her I would separate it if you can.
Okay,
I know
thanks.
it's a pain, but you can. One suggestion I would make for that would be, if you have an idea of what your content is, write it in advance, and then you can copy and paste. And if there is something that's across sites, it'll be the same. That way you already have it and you can just copy and paste it.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thanks.
We
Yeah.
have a hand raised. Go ahead,
Okay.
Leandra.
Mm-hmm.
Just for clarification, if you
Mhm.
do not have an HUSD email, you cannot access Google Classroom.
Unfortunately, that is correct. It's a
Okay,
paid,
okay, thanks.
it's a paid feature that the district has a license for. You can't you can license it yourself, but it's several $1,000s or something like that. So harass the EIT people.
Do we technically have an IT person?
My site has one who he works with like 3 or 4 schools, but there should be an EIT person assigned to your school. Yes. Talk to your administrator would probably be the best advice I would give on that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, I'm gonna move on unless anything else? Nobody? Not yet? Okay. All right, then I'm gonna keep going. So now you have a classroom and your students are hopefully starting to sign up. A lot of them will be independent and do it as soon as you say. Other people will take some time. But let's say now what? So you have students on there, they're checking, what do we have? We gotta add some content. So there's 2 different kinds of content in Google Classroom. There's the classwork, which is assignments. That's how they get learning. And then number 2 is the stream. Think of it like a bulletin board. And it's how you can get out information and get back interaction, how you can interact with your students. So those are the 2 areas. I'm going to cover them separately. So classwork, I would start your classroom setup by posting an assignment first. That way, because the classwork goes into the stream. So if you start with classwork, the stream will kind of set itself up. So what you'll do, again, I'm going to go through the list and then I will show you. So don't worry about it if you're more of a watcher than a listener. Okay. So click on the classwork tab in the classroom page. Then you're going to hit the create button and you're going to select an assignment. You'll see a screen that looks like this. It's a little bit longer than this. There are some features that are in addition to this. I would just focus, if you're brand new to this, just fill out the information that's in this box and do the assignment. And then as you get better at it, you can look at the other stuff. So I'm going to show it, but I wouldn't worry about it if you're brand new to it. Okay. So I'm going to show what it looks like to do that live. So let's go back to HUSD Classroom Workshop. So I'm going to go to the classwork tab. So these are the tabs up here. You go to classwork first and you see a big colorful create button. So it's hard to miss. So we're going to hit create. And the first thing that shows up in assignment, like I said, there's a bunch of things you can post. I would say if you're just starting, just start with assignment. And as I said, there's a screen that looks like my slide. So these 3 down here are kind of level 2 things. When you get good at it, I would encourage you to look at this, but for now, I would just focus on everything from this part up. So I made up a fake assignment, so I'm going to copy some notes from my slides. Hang on just a second. So first thing you want to do is, of course, give it a title. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to say this is the Google Classroom Workshop Reflection. Let's say I wanted to get all of your thoughts. I wanted you guys to watch a video. So for this, I said, so that was the name of the assignment. That's what they'll see. And then instructions, I highly encourage you to use instructions because it's easier for students to see everything in one place. If you put the instructions on the assignment itself, it's harder to see. So I definitely would copy your instructions in this box and also on the document. It'll make sense in just a second. So I said, please watch the video and then write a short reflection on how excited you are to learn about Google Classroom. Yay. All right. So there's 2 parts to making an assignment. The first part is to add content. The second part is to create the assignment that you want them to turn back to you. So the first part is, I said, I want you to watch a video. So I'm going to add, I would focus on using YouTube because it's so easy to use with Classroom when you're first starting out. There are, you can use Google Drive if you're familiar with it. You can attach things from your Google Drive. If you're not, don't worry about it because it's a little complicated. You can also link students. So let's say you want to give them an IXL assignment. You can link them to IXL using the link. But let's say YouTube. So I want people to watch the tutorial video that we did, that we watched. So I happen to have the URL, and what it will do is populate this. The other way you can, I would encourage you to go to YouTube first, find the video and copy the URL as opposed to a search. It's a little hard to watch the preview from this specifically. So that would be my suggestion. You will see a preview to make sure that you have the right video. So it's Classroom 101, so I know that's correct. I would hit add. And what it does is it links it here, and they'll be able to watch it in Google Classroom. They won't have to go somewhere else, which is very, very, very helpful because we don't want them to get distracted. I wouldn't want you guys to get distracted after you watch the video to go watch Sonic the Hedgehog or something. I want you to write the reflection afterwards. So that is the content I want to add. And then the next thing I want to do is I need to create a way for you to submit something back to me. So I said I wanted you to write a short reflection. So I need to create a document that I want the student to send back to me. So again, my suggestion when you're first starting out, make it always Google Documents because it can let them submit math, it can let them submit writing, reading, anything. The other ones are a little more specific. I encourage you to look into them later, but for now, when you're first starting out, my suggestion is create a document. And obviously mine is a writing assignment, so that makes sense. What it will do is it will create a new Google document. You'll see the little icon up here. What this created is a template that will be seen by every single student that gets this assignment. So again, like I said before, I would copy the instructions that you had in the other page. I would copy these instructions here onto this page. That way they don't have to go back and forth to try to remember what the instructions are. This is something that will be for the whole class, so don't make this specific to any student. Google will do that for you. So put the instructions in, leave a little space, and then in the top, when you click the title, it automatically puts the first line of your document. You want to give it some name that will make sense. So Google Classroom Workshop Reflection. Most likely it's the title of the assignment, right? That makes the most sense. Once you've done that, then you're good here. There's not a save button. That's a little confusing. So all you're going to do is, hang on, sorry, is you're just going to close it. So use the X for this tab and close it. And it automatically saves on the other page. So that's a little confusing. Just practice with it. It'll make sense the more you practice it. I will warn you, the title doesn't update automatically. It's a little weird like that. Again, trust that you wrote the right title and you'll be fine. Here's the key. So you want to create a copy of the Google document you just made for every student. The reason why you want to do that is because it's going to put their name on the assignment, which will make it easier for you to grade. These other two options, viewing the file, doesn't make sense, right? So just ignore that one. Students can edit the file. That means every single student that you have in your class will be able to edit it. So for example, Sally does her paragraph. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. She's super excited. Then Bobby comes on later that day. He's going to delete hers and write his. That's not what you want. So you want to make a copy for every student. Very, very important. Then over here, pretty self-explanatory. You can ignore this. That's just your classroom name. For students, you can select certain students to assign things to. My suggestion is when you're starting out, just do all students. You can assign a point score. Usually my assignments are 10 points. I tend to do weekly assignments, but you can change that to whatever point system you want. You can choose to make it ungraded as well. And then due date, it doesn't have to be today, it can be any day. I usually give my students about a week to finish things. You can put a time on it in this day and age where everybody's doing school at different times, probably not needed. But in a normal time, if you want to say by the end of the school day, or when we're back to that, you could say put a time in there as well. So once you have that, look at it, make sure everything is attached. Then you have two choices. If you're like me and you like to do things the day before, then assign makes sense. What that means is that we'll put it on the stream immediately. You can also schedule it if you like to do, say, your assignments on the weekend and you want to schedule everything for the week. You can schedule assignments to post to the stream or post to classwork on a later day. So you can just pick it there. In my case, I want to assign it now because I want you to see what it looks like. So you hit assign, and it will say saved, and then you are good. You will see in classwork, you will now see your assignment. If you click on it, and we'll come back to grading in a second, you get to see what it looks like. And you can view it here. We'll come back to that.
Jenny, you have a hand
Okay.
raised.
Sure, go ahead.
Debbie Jackson, go ahead.
My question was, you know how it says untitled
Yes.
on the assignment? Is it possible to go to the ad and then go in and retrieve the document from that so that it does have the title?
So as you can see, if you can see my screen right now, the title I put in is now there.
Oh.
I think it's just slow. It's just slow.
Oh, okay. Oh, perfect. Thank you for
Yeah.
letting me know that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No, that's a weird part of it. While you're creating it, what you can do is refresh your browser, and usually that will show the title, but it may not show it until you actually assign it.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
a quirky thing about the system, yeah. Good question though. It's quirky and it scares you a little bit, I know, but it's okay. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the stream real quick because all the assignments go on the stream, and then you can also post announcements or anything you want your students to see. So we'll have upcoming assignments as well as announcements. The cool thing about announcements is that students can write back to you, and so you can get feedback. So the next part is I'm going to show you how to post an announcement, and then I'm going to take questions because I know that was a lot. So going back to the stream, so classwork was where we were at. The stream tab is here. Just so you know, this is the first thing students and you see when you log in. So that's what's useful about it. As you can see, upcoming assignments are here. What will be listed here is assignments that are due today or tomorrow. So for example, my assignment is due on next Friday, so it's not on this list, but it will when we get, let's say it was next Thursday, then they would see that assignment there. So just because you don't see it there does not mean you didn't assign it correctly. If you see it in the stream, that means you're good. So every assignment is automatically posted to the stream. So you don't have to do anything special. It will automatically show up. So I am going to show you how to post an announcement. So we go to the box that says share something with your class. Pretty easy to remember. You click on it and it expands. Again, when you're new, I would just suggest doing all students for all your announcements until you get really good at it. You can write messages just to one or a group of students. But when you're starting out, just focus on writing things that are appropriate for everybody, just to get some practice and get good at it. So you can write a note saying, hello, everyone. It's Friday. We hope. Not Friday yet. Soon. Let's say soon. Check out the assignments for today. And get ready for the weekend. So something silly like that, right? So this would be an announcement if you have news, if you have an upcoming assignment, if you just have something silly you want to share with your students. I've done that. Shared like a movement video or something silly, just to connect with them, let them write something back. This can be anything. It doesn't matter what you want it to be. It's a fun way to engage. And then you can add things to it. So it has the same options as classwork. Again, the easiest ones to use are Link and YouTube. So let's say I wanted to add, if you haven't heard of Go Doodle, it's wonderful. It's a bunch of movement, dance, song, cheesy videos. So see how it'll come up with a whole bunch. Let's say Baby Shark, sure, why not? So let's say I wanted to send them off to the weekend watching Baby Shark. So it automatically includes the video there. It's easy for them to watch. And then again, you have two options, just like you did with classwork. You can either post it immediately, so it posts at 3:04 p.m. today, or you can schedule to show up tomorrow. So let's say this actually was a Friday announcement. I could say schedule this post to show up tomorrow, May 1st, yay, at, nobody's up at 8 a.m. anymore. Let's say 10 a.m., right? So then you'll be able to see that it's saved. If you see saved announcements up here, it will automatically post it tomorrow at 10 a.m. So you don't have to do anything special. You don't have to come back and check on it. It will automatically go. You could also change it to be posted immediately. So if you wanted to post it immediately, let's say test, can't spell, say test and post, then it would show up right away with the time. Every post has the opportunity for kids to respond back. I would probably have rules about etiquette on that. We've had some incidents at our school where kids are a little inappropriate. Just reminds them that this is school. If you think that's, yeah, but most kids are pretty good at it because they like it. Okay, so those are the two content areas again, classwork and stream. I wanted to leave room for any more questions. No, you're dying to ask.
Leandre, go
Are
ahead.
there any questions?
Okay, my question is, I set up my classroom.
Mm-hmm.
I put my students in the classroom, and I'm looking at it right now, and there are 3 kids that are not in bold, and it says invited. Does that mean they haven't accepted the invitation to my Google Classroom yet?
That is correct. They have not tried to log on yet. That is correct.
And now that I think about it, 2 of these kids are the kids that are having issues with their HUSD email.
Yep, absolutely. Those are connected.
Debbie Jackson, go ahead. You have to unmute yourself.
My question is, my students have been on for 3 weeks now, and when I post new assignments, all of them stay on the stream. And what if I want to remove them from the stream?
Good question. See right here, so on the stream, if you ever want to clean out your stream for some reason, that's no problem. There's a couple options. So if you go to the post, there's a 3-button menu right here, and you can always delete it, or you can edit it even.
But what if I want to keep it to archive it or something?
That's a good question.
For future classes.
I believe every assignment, as soon as the due date passes, archives so that you're able to go back and look at it. I know you can repost class assignments once they're passed. I wouldn't delete it from the stream. I don't know what that will do. I've kept my stream active. I don't know if it gets rid of, I don't believe it gets rid of the files, like the submissions from your students. I know it doesn't. It keeps it in Google Drive. But I would say I wouldn't necessarily delete it. My suggestion to you would be if there's something you want to move up to the top or keep on the top, you can always hit the 3 buttons and you can move anything you want to the top instead of deleting it.
Okay.
I would say that's a better thing to do.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question though.
2 questions from the chat. Are you going to show us how to check assignments?
Yes, that's next.
And is there a way to organize assignments such as grouping math or English language arts together in the stream?
Excellent question. Yes, there is. I didn't want to throw too much at people, but I will show you quickly. What you want to create is what's called a topic. So math, English, writing, for example. So in classwork again, if you hit create and go to topic, let's say I wanted to create a writing topic. That would be the way that you can sort it. You can move things by clicking and dragging. So let's say I wanted to move it into writing. And then if I created, let's say, test math assessment, I'm just going to make this quick so that, let me just make this quick so that you can see how to sort them. And then on the side, it was one part I didn't show because I didn't want to throw too much at everybody. But when you create the assignment, you can assign it a topic. You can either use one that you've already created, or you can create a new one right there, which is really helpful. So for example, I'll show you my classroom real quick. So this is my classroom. So when I look at classwork, I have my RSP homework club. I also have a coding club. And so these are two different topics, and I keep things sorted. To make it easier for students will be able to see the assignments grouped by topic, but also for me when I'm doing grading, which I'll show next. So good question. So it's called topic. That's how you sort assignments.
We have a question. Nick, go ahead.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you would suggest, for example, as a speech therapist, having topics like an artic topic or a comprehension topic or...
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's where I would set that up then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. And then when you, if you have the chance to walk, if people have questions, you can just walk them through and let them know. Or when you invite them, you can say, I want you to focus on the articulation section.
Okay.
Like those are going to be most of your assignments. Yeah, that will help you in particular a lot.
Great. Perfect.
Absolutely. Organization is always best. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, good question. All right, we've got one more section and we'll have a lot of time for questions. Good. All right. So now so you have a classroom, you have content, students have started to submit assignments, but now what? We have to give feedback. So that's grading. Grading and comments, not necessarily just grading, but comments as well. So this is where, so the grades tab is where you can keep an eye on student submissions and provide them with feedback or a score, depending on how you run your classroom. I will give you a warning to a lot of people, including myself, when I first looked at it, the grade tab can be very confusing at first. But after you look at it a few times, it will start to make more sense. I'm going to guide you through it. But the first thing I wanted was one of the trainers from Google to show you how to do it. This is a teacher who uses it in New York. And then I'm going to walk you through it as well. But I wanted you to be able to see it more than once. Okay. All right, here we go.
So if I click on the grades tab, I get this quick overview of things that have been graded, things that have been turned in, things that are still missing from all of my students. And if I go back to classwork, I can also look at the assignments. So it gives me this little preview of what's been turned in, assigned, and returned. I can click on view assignment. And on this left side, you'll see I have a quick little drawer that shows me what's been turned in, what's missing, and who's turned it in. I can also check here to see what's been graded, if the assignment's ungraded, or if I am grading it and what the point scale is. I also have the ability to go in and provide feedback for my students. So what I love about this is when I click on somebody's assignment, it opens it up in one tab. But instead of having multiple tabs, like I would have 25 tabs open, and anybody who works with me knows that I have a tab problem, I actually can keep it here within one tab, and I can quickly just see all the people that are in my class, who has turned it in, what's missing. I also can toggle left or right between what's been turned in, what's been missing, so I can easily just grade or provide feedback to all of my students without opening up extra tabs. The other great feature in this new grading tool as well is that I have the ability to add private comments, so I can talk to a teacher myself right now without anybody in the class seeing it.
Okay, so he went through that kind of fast, but I'm going to walk you through it myself. But that's kind of an overview of what all you can do and how it will work. So my recommendation for grading assignments is that you use the classwork tab. I know that's counterintuitive. It's much easier to look at grading by assignment than it is to look at the grade tab, because you'll see every single assignment and every single submission. And I'll show you the difference. It's way easier to use if you use the classwork tab instead. So again, here are the steps. You're going to go to the classwork tab, you click on the assignment you want to grade, then you're going to view the assignment, and that will create a grid of students and the status of their assignment, whether it's missing and it's turned in, and if it's been graded. Then you can grade the assignment directly on this page, and you can click and view comments. So again, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to show it to you live, but that's just so you can take that home and have it ready. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to use an assignment from my class, because then you can see what it looks like. So let's say I'm looking at the multiplication table list. So like I said, you go to classwork, find the assignment you want to grade. It'll give you a quick summary of how many students you assigned it to, and then how many have turned it in. So as you can see, I had a kind of poor response to mine, but I'm still working on my kids. All right, that's okay. We're gonna be all right. All right, so here's what it looks like. This is why I said it's really, really easy to look at. So you can see the name of the assignment, how many kids have turned it in. I only had one. And then how many it was assigned to, and sadly all these people were missing. This was an IXL assignment, so they just turned in something that said, a picture that said I finished it, of their congratulations. So you can do one of two things. In this case, this was a computer assignment, so all I needed them to do is say I turned it in. So I can either give a quick grade here, and it would show his assignment here if there was something to see. So I can grade it here. So let's say I gave him a 5. And again, you can do every student all at once. So hopefully next time I'll have them all turn it in. And then you could do everybody's grade, quick. And then you hit return. Return is counterintuitive. I know it seems like you're returning the work to the student. You are, but you want to think of it like a teacher who used to take in paper assignments, grade them, and return them to the student. So think about it that way, because some people get confused. They think when they say return, that means I'm rejecting it. Like, oh no, that's not a good assignment. You're returning it with a grade and with comments. So that's what return would be. So I would click him, grade it. Let's say I had more students, then I return it. You can also, it'll let you write a comment. If you want to comment on how he did on that test, you could write that there and then return. What would happen is the next time the student would log in, he would see that an assignment has been graded. He could go to his classwork tab and he'd be able to see the grade that you gave him along with the comments. Those comments are private by default, so you don't have to do anything special. So that would be how you grade it. If there was a written assignment, and I don't have one at the moment, but if you had a written assignment, the video showed what that would look like, that there's a panel on the right side. Let me go back to the video real quick and I'll just walk through that part.
Jenny,
So if I click on the grades tab, I get
Oh,
this.
sure, go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead, Leandre.
Go ahead.
My question was, just for clarification, so when you send the assignment off in a Google Doc form, once they complete the doc, they in turn share it with me, and does that trigger it as being completed or turned in?
Correct. I wish I had a student account. I would show you what it looks like from a student perspective. Actually, I do. Hang on just a second. I actually do have an example I can show you. Hang on just a second, because our school has. That's a really good question. Yeah, I do want to show you what that looks like. Let me see. So in this classroom, if you're looking at it, I'm a student in this classroom. This was created by our administrative team. They're trying to, they're keeping us engaged, so they're having us write, fill out things and do fun stuff together as a team. So let me see if there's an assignment I could submit. So let's say, for example, there's a question they want us to answer. So this is kind of what it would look like. What it would have here instead of answer is it would have that Google document you were talking about. And then I would fill out my answer. Let's see, what was this one? Movie recommendation. Onward was probably mine. Let's say Onward was my movie recommendation. Every assignment would have turn in on it. And then it would turn it in. So this is from the student perspective. So they would see on their screen on the assignment page, they would see that it's been turned in. And then when you've graded it, that turned in will turn into graded. And then they'll be able to see the grade plus any comments you have with it.
Okay, so it says turned in, not share.
No,
Like
it's
the top
not
of a
shared.
group.
So yeah, right. Yeah. So yeah, if we were
Okay.
sharing a Google document, it would say shared. For them, it says turned in, which is good because it's like
Okay.
turning it in person.
All right.
So that is what you want them to make sure is that it says turned in on the assignment. Good question.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
You have another question, Jenny.
Go for it. Yep, we're ready for questions. Go.
This is a question from an RSP teacher. I have created
Yay.
just one class. My intention is to assign work aligned with their IEP goals. Will I need to just make an assignment and assign it to just those kids who are working on that goal, i.e.
Absolutely.
plus or minus work, just assign it to who has those goals?
Perfect. Yes, I am an RSP teacher, so rock on RSP. Absolutely. So I mentioned it quickly, but I will be more specific. Let me go to my classroom because I have students in it. This one doesn't have any students in it. It's a little hard to see. But if we go to my classroom, and when I do an assignment, let's say I was creating a new, because I'm going to create a new math assignment. So let's say the goal I have for the student is they need to be able to fluently do their 1 through 12 times table. So times tables up to 12. And you put instructions there, do IXL code, insert code with 85% accuracy, 2 days, this, I don't know. It's hard to write an IEP goal exactly, but let's say it was that for between now and next Friday, I'd want them to do that. So here in students, so you see how you see my whole roster? So I can take off, if I just wanted to assign it to my students that have the 12 goal, which is a bunch of them, but not all of them, I can go through and check them. So let's say it was those 4. So see how this changed? So it no longer says all students, it says 4 students. So in the classwork list, only those 4 students would see this assignment. All the students would not see this assignment. On the stream, likewise, if I assign this, only those 4 students would see it as a new assignment. The other 17 I have would not see it. So it would be like it didn't exist. So that is how you can assign goals for IEP type goals that are specifically targeted. So by default, again, it's all students. You can uncheck that and then check however many students have that goal. I try to think, how many kids have the same goal as broadly as possible. That way I'm not doing one assignment for every student. That's painful. You don't want to do that. But it's absolutely doable. Good question. All right, anybody else? This is question time, so anybody else? No?
I'm just reading a comment in the chat. I can share if you
Okay.
want how Google Classroom and pair with ReadWorks, a free reading assignment site. That's from Alex.
ReadWorks is fantastic. Yeah. So like I said, in Google Classroom, it's really just a portal, so to speak. Like I said, in the assignments, that's perfect. Teachers at my school connect Raz Kids, Scholastic, Prodigy. I mean, there's so many online resources that are available. All you would have to do ReadWorks is make it a link and give a link to ReadWorks as part of your assignments. You would have to check ReadWorks to make sure that they did that assignment because it's held separately. you absolutely can link any content you want to this. That's what the link feature would be for. You would have to think of a way for them to maybe let you know that they finished, unless you're always monitoring ReadWorks. But so like, for example, earlier, if I had them do IXL, I was having students write me a note in Google Docs that said, you know, I finished, can you please check, or write or send me a picture and put it in Google to show me that they're done. But you can absolutely link this to anything, absolutely anything. So that's a really good point. It doesn't have to be limited to YouTube, as fun as YouTube is.
Have another hand raised. Eric, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm Leandres Pera, and we were trying to find a way to read the class. So ReadWorks sounds interesting. I've never heard of it. That and Scholastic, are both of those links? I've heard of Scholastic, but only like
No problem.
not.
I can show you ReadWorks. Thank you for suggesting that. Let's see. ReadWorks. I forget if it's.
Can I just, before you do that, can I just take a second to say that on today's training and on a training we did yesterday, we have 4 paraeducators that are joining us. And I really just want to shout out, like, hey, that's awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you
for being here.
We can't do our jobs without you. So I echo that. My para is invaluable to me. So yeah, I appreciate you guys coming and wanting to learn more about it. So for ReadWorks, I forget, it's not a Google sign in. I think you have to sign up. I think my site, sign up as a site. I believe you can sign up as a teacher. I think it's free. Whoever suggested that, would you mind coming on and explaining that? I forget.
Alex is going to do that.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, no problem. It's a great program. I started using it a couple years ago when they first started up. They share money with Bookshare. They're from a similar grant. If you make it so I can share my screen, I'll be able to show people.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. All right. So this is me. I've logged into my ReadWorks. You can log in using your Google sign-in. So you hit login. You guys would hit sign up. I already have a sign up. And you can pair it with your Google account. I'm going to log in because I already have one. They're doing Giving Drive right now, but you can import any Google Classroom in, so you're automatically paired with your Google Class. All you have to do is go over here to create a class, click create a class, and then hit import from your Google Classrooms. Now I'm currently creating a Google Classroom for Pacific Islander Heritage Month that I'm going to be making available to anybody who wants it, because this coming month of May is culturally Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So I'm going to make it 7th grade just because I have 7th and 8th grade students. That doesn't really matter at all. If you click publish assignments directly default by Google Classroom, it'll import it for you. So you import. I don't have any students right now to do that who I've added to that class yet, but it's there. So right now we are currently working on learning about poetry in English. So one of the topics that they know I'm working on is poetry. So I would click poetry. Now they have a whole bunch of options. Well, first, let me be clear. You would go to find content. From find content, you would click on whatever. You can either search up here what you want to search, or you can click on one of the topics they provide. You can also search by reading steps. You can search by if you want it to read out loud. They have featured readings of the day on different themes. But I want poetry. So I can click poetry. I can come over to the side here and hit question set. Now, question set is important based off of who your children are. If you have lower grade children, or children who are really struggling, I would pick multiple choice answer only. The written answer questions are asking them to write paragraphs or them to write up question or answers for them, which can be very, very tricky because that doesn't provide necessarily context clues unless you are helping them find that. So typically, at least if I'm assigning it without doing a video overview for them, I click multiple choice assignments only. Let's see. So then it's going to show me all of the readings that will work. So for instance, let's pick Flag Day. So I could put this under my politics and government class. It'll read the story out loud to you. Where it will read you the passage to the kids. It also has it set up here, so if the kids want to read the passage themselves, they can, or follow along. They have a vocabulary section where it will give them words. And you can set it so there'll be vocabulary activities, but it'll also give them definitions right aloud.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
While you're doing that, is that something that you have them turn in, or can you do as a class and like follow along, like show your screen and like read?
I do it during my Zoom lessons. I do it where I share my screen and share audio, and I do it as a class with them. If it's something that I'm just assigning, then I just assign it through Google Classroom, which I'll show you how to do.
Awesome, thank you.
And then you can come over to question set. 3rd grade and below have areas where it will read the question and the answers aloud. Anything from 3rd grade up doesn't do that. The kids have to read the quiz part themselves. So they usually have a couple of different sets of questions, everything from like main idea to asking about context, to asking about vocabulary, anything like that. So now let's actually assign this to our classroom. All right, so what we would do is there's a couple options. You can bookmark it. Let's say I'm looking through a whole bunch of content that I've liked during a day. I can bookmark it, which means I don't have to assign it right at that moment. This is for projection for like a whiteboard. So let's say you brought home your projector or something like that and you want to film a lesson. If you click this, it will project it. Once you connect up your projector, it will project it on the wall for you. If you want to make print assignments with this, you can. You just hit print and it'll create a worksheet for it. And then you can assign it online. So you hit assign. You'll have an audio option. I always like to give my kids the audio option because I'm not there to read it out loud. Since this is a slightly lower piece than I normally would assign my kids, I'm not going to put vocabulary because I feel like they probably already understand this vocabulary. Then I'm going to come here and I'm going to pick politics and government as my section. Then I'm going to do this to the whole class. I want it to publish to Google Classroom. I want it to be assigned today, but you can pick any day for it to be assigned. If you pick it a day later than that we are currently at, it will show up as a scheduled assignment on your Google Classroom, and it will post automatically to whatever at midnight, whatever day you set it. This is your due date section. It usually gives the kid about 2 weeks to complete the assignment as a default. You can set that for however long you actually want to set it for. You can also assign it to only specific students. Like I have my list over here who are in that class, and I could assign it to just certain students who I know might be having troubles. Or if I had set up groups, I could do that to groups as well, but I want to do my whole class because I like everybody knowing the same materials. So I'm going to hit assign. And it's usually a little bit slow, but it'll take a second and it'll, you know, create an assignment. And then if I go over to my Google Classroom right here, and I click in my government class, politics and government, and I go to my classwork section, it's right here up at the top. Now, let's say I want to make sure I put it under world politics, both past and present, or I wouldn't put it on presidential race. These are just different sections I have or topics that I've covered with the kids. I would go edit. I'm going to come over here. I usually like to make them 5 points in the grade book. I'm going to select a topic. I'm going to put this under world politics. And then if I wanted to, now when I go back to ReadWorks, it's going to give me how the kids did on the readings. It's going to give me a percentage. It's going to show me what questions they got wrong. And it's going to give me a chance to reassign them work that they may have done poorly on. So if I want to, I could create a Google Doc for them to fill out and write about Flag Day, or, you know, fill out something about Flag Day. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll add a video from YouTube about Flag Day.
Alex, this is Deborah.
Yeah.
I have 2 things. First of all, this is amazing, and I know who to ask to do my next training.
Yes.
If we could, if you can hang out after the presentation and maybe continue this and ask some more people, might have some more questions. And this is, I'm learning it, and it's so fast. It's good. It's really good information. But maybe after you can hang out and people can ask a little bit more detailed questions.
That's fine.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
No problem.
Yeah,
awesome.
appreciate that.
And then if you guys can switch back thanks, Alex. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
No
thank you,
problem.
Alex.
What is
My
Alex?
presentation went away.
Alex, what is your last name? Anybody willing to share?
Flat off.
Oh,
Sladoff.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I teach at Bret Hart.
Okay.
Middle
Hard. Okay.
all right. Also, just while she was showing ReadWorks, you can also, kids will be able to see that on the stream as well. So it's in classwork. It's also on the stream. So whenever you assign it to show up, it would show up on the stream as well. Any other questions? Sorry, we got off topic a little bit. And we were talking about grading. Was there any other questions that we didn't answer about grading?
One
or-
question.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, I know this sounds crazy, but when you're doing the presentation, they don't see you or hear you, right, in Google Classroom? Do they
No,
hear your voice?
not unless you, no, it's, there's no conferencing built in. Well, there
Yeah.
is conferencing built in with Google Meet,
Right.
but the district prefers Zoom.
Okay, yeah, that's like, because I teach severely handicapped, mild, severe, and so we've been using Zoom meeting, and it works great for us.
Mhm.
But Google Classroom would be way too difficult, I think, to get
Yes,
us. They have no idea about writing it. So, but this is interesting to me to learn. But yeah, I realize I can't use this. But thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No, absolutely. This is, I have mild to moderate students, and a lot of them have a lot of issues with this. Probably about 25% of them, I have to use it alongside them to let them use it.
See,
So
when we do
know
Zoom,
know
they
your
see me.
classroom.
When we do Zoom, they see me, and it's easier. We do it that way.
Exactly.
And we have private meeting
Absolutely.
with one kid and one parent. It's good. Okay, enough. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely, 100%. No, that's true. Please keep in mind your students.
Right.
A lot of them, this is too difficult. The little kids don't use it. I'm in elementary school. my kids are grade 3 and up. The K1 and 2, they don't use this. Yeah. Good point. Yes. Hi. Oh,
Hey,
I guess I wasn't.
I
Yeah.
do teach moderate to severe, and I am using it, but it's for the parents to access, but I can put assignments in it for individual kids, and so I'm finding it
Yes,
extremely useful.
exactly. Yeah. You have to know your families and know your students and make the decision that's best for them. This is a tool. It's not required. It's just a tool. I'm going to give some advice on how to support while you're using it. It's coming up next. Any last questions? We're doing good on time. Okay. Then I'll just go. The next part is really just some advice. But we went through all the steps so that if you hadn't created a Google Classroom, you now know how to set it up, how to share it, how to use it, how to add content, how to add assignments, and then how to grade it. So what now? I just encourage you to try it out. The biggest way I became a tech nerd was really just trying stuff and failing a lot and learning from the failures. So please don't be afraid of it. Try it. You can't break it. Trust me, Google has tested it with many millions of users. So I would just try it. If at any time you just are like, I think I messed it up, you can always delete the classroom or archive it and start over. So there's really nothing bad you can do. So here's just some advice from me to you on Google Classroom. One, please be kind to yourself. This wasn't in a credential program or most likely in your training when you started. So please just be kind to yourself and just be patient. A lot of us are tech savvy. I grew up with parents that were tech savvy, so I was always a techie, but I know that's not most of us. So please just be patient, be kind to yourself. Don't say, oh my gosh, I can't get Google Classroom, that's it. That's the end of me. Yes, we'll probably be using this far into the future now, but just be kind to yourself, okay? Number 2, start small and build. So the thing to do to get started after you leave today, and I suggest doing it today while it's fresh, is start with adding your students or getting the code and figuring out how you're going to invite students and walk them through, and then posting 1 or 2 assignments to have them try it out. So don't try to do everything we just covered today tonight. Start with the assignments and maybe an announcement or 2, and just start with that and see how it goes. Also see how your students respond. I probably have half of my students that are really active on it and the other half that are sort of on it. And so you just have to adjust. Just like if you're in a classroom, you have to adjust to your students. This also is adjusting to your students. Not every student is going to take to this, and that's okay. So just start small and build is advice number 2. Advice number 3, Google Classroom will require frequent check-ins. One of my teachers at my school site uses it, has used it since the beginning of the year because she's a techie like me. She has to check in with students on about 2 to 3 times a week for her to get her as much of her entire class to participate. So she has about 85% participation, but that's because she checks in on every student about 2 or 3 times a week. So if you really want to make Google Classroom a central resource and a central source for your class, just know it's going to require check-ins, and it's going to require some investment of time on the front end. So when we first started, when we realized that distance learning was going to be a permanent thing for the rest of the school year, my parent and I split up our list, and we would just set out, an hour block of time and just help people set up Google Classroom. It was a lot of pictures on phones back and forth. It was a lot of emails or Zoom conferences. So just know that that's going to be part of it. So just keep checking in to encourage usage, but also just know in the front end, it may require some investment of time to help them get in. Okay?
Jenny, we have a hand.
Go for it, yes.
Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, you made a comment earlier about how for the little ones, it's not always the most effective tool.
Mm-hmm.
And a big population, or big part of my population is the little ones. So I'm just wondering, would you or do you find that parents are using it for little ones? So if I'm putting information out there like
Mhm.
items for them to work on at home, instead of emailing everything directly to them, but having this on this particular site for them to access, would that be a good use of my time and theirs, or should I still just email everything at home to them in packets?
Google Classroom is easier. I would encourage Google Classroom as much as I can.
Okay.
It's so much easier than trying to do frequent emails.
Okay.
Like I said on number 2, just know it may require a bit of investment of time, but this Google Classroom is also available as a mobile app. And for the parents that really want to stay engaged and want advice on how to keep their kids engaged, a lot of them have asked for the app and put it on their own phone so they could see what their kids are doing. So it will be worth it. I would just say expect an engagement of about 50%. Based on what
Yeah.
I've heard of feedback from teachers, there's going to be 50% that are really, really into it and really love it. And there's going to be 50% that are like meh for a variety of reasons. They may be working. They may have, 4 or 5 kids at home and they're trying to, manage behavior more than they're, checking in on Google Classroom. So if you get 50%, you're doing a really good job.
Yeah, I was just kind
But
of
for that
figuring.
50%, it'll be big. Mhm.
I was just kind of figuring it'd be kind of like a Facebook wall almost, where you're just kind of
Yes,
posting
that's
information out there so that people can kind of come to it at their leisure to pick up the assignments or see information that I'm posting for everybody and then take it back to their homes and do it. So that's kind of how
That's
I'm
how I
going to do
look
it.
at it. 100%. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for this.
Yeah, no problem. Our speech therapist, our art teacher, our PE teacher, and our EL specialist, they're all using it that way.
Perfect.
They're
Okay.
not trying to they're not trying to grade 150 students. They're just trying to reach the ones that want to do some PE and want to learn more about, they're bored with math and they want to learn about PE. So it's a
Okay.
check-in sort. That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
So I'm on the right track. This is good.
Yes,
Thanks.
you are. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Joanne Lamar has a hand raised.
Go for it.
Yeah, there was a quick, I found it on the videos. If you want to check if students are checking in, you can always instead of make an assignment, create a question. And it can be something simple, like what is your favorite color? And then they
Absolutely.
answer it. And then you're going to have, like last week, or I should say this week, I had 20 out of 20 participate, even though they
That's
didn't
awesome.
do any of the other assignments.
Yeah.
That just
Absolutely.
shows me
So,
that they are accessing it and they know how.
definitely. Let me show, let me see. Yeah, question is a great way to check in. That's an excellent suggestion. So in the classwork section, if you wanted to create a quick question that you wanted them to answer to prove, under assignment, there's also question. Really simple to post. Same format as an assignment, just simpler. So absolutely, great suggestion. Any other questions, Deborah? No? All right. Last part, most important part, please don't suffer in silence. Ask for help if you need it. You're not the only one struggling with this. This is a very difficult transition for a lot of us. Speaking as an RSP teacher, it's extremely hard to not use manipulatives so we have to get creative, but you ask for help. You ask for people who may have tried something and it worked for them. So this is the same kind of thing. As you heard from Alex and some other folks who have tried things, a lot of people have already started to get on it and are starting to learn more about it. So please reach out to people and ask. I'm going to make myself available. So who are you going to call or email or text or Zoom? That's me. So this will be in the slide presentation, but if you want to take a picture of it right now, you can. That's me. I work at Glassbrook. My email's over there. I'm checking my email during the week, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can call or text me from 2:30 to 5. I do have student calls during the day, so it's difficult for me to respond before then. I would be open to setting up appointments or Zoom meetings if you have specific questions, or if you're just like, that was great what you showed me, but I needed to go a lot slower to help me set it up. That's cool. Email or text me, and I can have Zoom meetings on Thursdays from 2:30 to 5 and help you individually. So I want everybody who this can be helpful to be able to have access to the help that they need. So save my information. You can find me. Deborah knows how to find me. If you forget all of this, just remember you have people out there who are with you. Some other resources besides me, because I'm one person and I'm not always there. These are websites that have links in them. So when you get the presentation, you'll be able to click on these. The 2 videos I showed today were from Google's Training Center for Teachers for Google Classroom. They're really helpful. There's a lot more videos that walk you through each individual feature. So I definitely encourage you looking at that. Pocketful of Primary is a YouTube channel. She did 2 or 3 amazing videos on Google Classroom. So that's okay, I've got the basics, I've got my students on there, I've got assignments. Now I want to make it better, or I want to see some additional features. That channel on YouTube is very, very good. She has a lot of more advanced features that you can use. So I highly encourage you looking at that once you get level 1. So start at level 1, think of it like a white belt in martial arts. When you're ready to go to your yellow belt, then you can start watching that. And then of course, my classroom, my RSP classroom, I'm still building it because like I said, I had some challenges helping my students get on it, but now we're on a roll a little bit. I showed it a little bit today, but if you want to save that code and you want to just check out how I set mine up and what I use it for, that's the code. So feel free to check in on that and see what we're up to at Glasswork. So those are on the slide. So when you get them, you'll be able to click on them and see them. You can also use my code if you want to practice signing up before you help parents and students sign up. That's a great way to practice. Okay, and then I just wanted to leave you with the harder you work, the better you get. There's no way to learn this by osmosis. So practice, practice, practice. And then I wanted to leave the last 10 minutes for any more questions, comments, concerns. Speak now or forever ask me later. And I'll leave my contact information up. Are there any final questions, or was that too much?
Lots of folks saying thank you in the chat.
Yeah, you bet. My pleasure. I love teaching
great.
tech.
So great.
Yeah, yeah. And please, like I said, you feel free to bug me. Deborah does. She knows I don't bite too much. All right. Well, thank you guys. Oh, were there questions? Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to say a final thank you to Jenny. And wow, she gave us not only good information, but really good access to communicate. And for many of you, you've been on a lot of these trainings with me and with some of the other folks. And I really appreciate your ideas and how you've all kind of become a network with each other. And even though this stuff, like we all say we're zoomed out and it's like so painful to be on one more Zoom meeting, but I find that the more things that I attend, the more things are opened up to me. And more people I can reach out to that in real time, I never would go and be able to see that person and get this information. So thank you to all of you who contribute. Definitely thank you, Jenny, for doing this. So Jenny and I think probably Alex, will be here for 7 more minutes. So you can leave the room if you need to, but if you have questions or anything else, we'll be here for 7 more minutes.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate it, and I wish you luck.
Thanks for your help.
Yeah, no worries. My pleasure.
Thank you so much for all your help.
You bet.
Thank you.
Any day. Good luck. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe, stay
Thanks.
healthy.
Thank you for everything.
My pleasure. Okay. Oh yeah, I gotta send them to you, Deborah. Okay. All right. Let me send them to you while we're waiting. See if there's any more questions.
Can I ask a question, Jenny?
Absolutely, I'm listening.
So I'm an RSP teacher as well, and wondering if I tried to go into one of the gen ed teachers class, they invited me to co-teach and modify the students' work directly on the document. And I just wondered, I feel like I maybe, luckily she had opened a new classroom that I didn't have, so it was a good practice on this one, so I didn't screw up her whole class. But I think I actually modified the assignment for all the kids because I modified it and then I just went to that sidebar and picked 4 kids. But do I need to do it individually for each student when I modify like that?
That's an excellent question. I believe you did probably remove the assignment from the other students. So better way to do that. That's a really great question. The best way to do that in the future, I'd probably let her know that. Best way to do that in the future would be, I'm looking right now because I haven't had to do that yet. I think there's a way to copy an assignment and then then assign that copied assignment to a student. That's a great question. Let me, if there's no other questions, I can look at that real quick. I am a co-teacher.
Okay, I can call you later too. I don't know if that's something that other people will need to know. I'm happy to.
No, for sure. Why don't you reach out to me? That's an answer I don't have yet, and I'll be happy to look at that. Just email me and remind me. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries.
I have a question.
Yeah, definitely.
I noticed that you were using IXL and Mystery Science and Think Central documents in your Google Classroom. Do you have a IXL account at your school? And do you have your own classroom in that? Do you have your own account in IXL?
Yes. So Hayward got a district-wide IXL license. They actually expanded it. At first, it was just a trial for math, but because we went to distance learning, they actually opened up social studies and English language arts. So yes, when you go to IXL and log in with your Hayward, I do need to show you that because it's a little different. So when you log in, let me share my screen again.
Yeah, because it's telling me that it doesn't recognize my Hayward login.
Yeah, I know why. So when you go to IXL.com, you use the first part of your email address, which is, for me, it's JW410. But instead of putting the HUSD part, you put Hayward spelled out USD.
Okay.
That's what I said.
That is the difference. Yeah.
Hayward USD, and then so it's at Hayward USD, and then my prefix.
It should be your normal password though, I think.
And it should be my normal password.
That's what I think I remember. It's been a while since I signed up for it, but I believe so.
And what about RazKids? Do you use RazKids? And is that from a site license?
Yeah, so RazKids is a site license. I had to contact Monica Johnson Rock is her name to get a login for that. Personally, I find their books boring, and my kids do too. I actually, my recommendation RazKids is good, and it has a lot of great features, and I use it a lot for assessment purposes, and it is really well married with Fountas. However, if I'm looking for more books that kids will want to read just for like leisure reading or to challenge them in reading because it's more interesting, I highly recommend Epic Books. It's at getepic.com. I have it on my screen. It's free for teachers for the rest of this year, but I think it was free for me before too. And you can sign up as long as you use your Hayward USD email. It'll be free, and then you can you can email me. I can help you sign up for that. But their books are more published books where they would find it at a bookstore, whereas
Okay.
Giraffes Kids is more, what would you call it? Readers. So
Okay.
a combination of the two is good.
Are you using Think Central for math expressions?
I actually hadn't heard of that until you mentioned it.
Okay, it's part
I
of
stay
Food
with,
and Mifflin, and it's their online version, Think Central.
oh, okay. I had not actually heard of that one. I use when we have to do like algebra and stuff. I use I just use Google Documents, and I taught kids how to put expressions in Google Documents, but I hadn't used that one. I'll have to look at that one.
Okay, and one last question.
Mm-hmm.
Think Central, Mystery Science.
Mhm.
Do you use Mystery Science?
Our school has used it before. I don't think you have to sign up for it necessarily. Let me check. Our fifth grade teacher, one I work with in RSP, uses it. I don't think they even make you log in necessarily yet. See this, if you go to their school closure site, they've got tons of stuff and it's just there. And you can
Okay.
easily put that in Google Classroom as a link.
Okay.
So if you want to do like who invented pizza, you would go to this lesson and go up top where the website address is, copy it, and then do the assignment, walk through how to do the assignment part, and you could easily add that.
Okay.
They have really great, Mystery Science is awesome. Kids really like that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Of course. Good questions. I can't see. Is anybody left? All right. Any last questions?
Yeah, I'm going to ask Alex when you're going to present.
Yeah, you're next.
I don't know. I feel like I'm still learning it. I only picked it up a couple weeks ago.
That
Like
was
maybe last week.
Just picking it up.
I was gonna say you had a pretty good grasp of it for just picking it out.
Yeah. Well, I only
Don't
wanted
be afraid
to
to present
PD
it.
last week.
Actually,
But it's an interesting thing.
yeah, and actually now that the three of us are talking and when Sheila Halligan was asking questions, I'm thinking like, I know there's no time left for people, I really do, but putting these kinds of groups together with like the curriculum background, like just the resources or how to get to some things would be great if we could just get a group of folks in a room and everybody gets 10 minutes to just share like the top things that they're using that have been great for them.
That would be great.
Yes,
And
could we have a RSP group like where we could share
I'm all for
RSP
it.
teachers?
Yeah,
I'm
I mean, I wouldn't even limit it like that. I might just say like this is for mild moderate. It almost like I don't know, like an office hours where you don't have to come, but if you wanted to come and just get some ideas from the people who are in the room, I mean, I would be willing to set that up.
Yeah.
And then we could keep a spreadsheet of I've started one at our school, but we could start one for SPED specifically because the resources are a little bit different. We could create a spreadsheet, and people who can't make it or they're zoomed out for the day, they can always go back and check it. And if you record it, then they could go back and watch it too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you could record just snippets, like so there's a snippet on ReadWorks, so if they have a question, they click on it, or